everybody, JC here with another T&I toy review. And today we're going to take a look at the new DC Collectibles 7-inch scale New 52 Supergirl figure. Now this figure comes packaged in your standard DC Collectibles window box type packaging. You've got the Supergirl logo up at the top, then the figure's clearly displayed in the window box, and you've got the name of the character down below. And with this particular figure we've got the white and blue highlights on the packaging. Then on the one side we have in darkened in blue drawing of the Supergirl character, and then on the other side we have a look at the actual figure, and it tells us that the figure was sculpted by Jack Matthews. And then finally on the back we have the thumbnail image up at the top of the figure with a little brief bio. Then we have two other thumbnails showing other figures in the New 52 line, Nightwing, which has already been released, and Batgirl, which should be coming out soon. And then the original Justice League New 52 figures that DC Collectibles put out down below that. Okay, so let's get this figure open and take a look at what's inside. So here's a look at the figure outside of the packaging. And for the most part, I think this is a pretty nice looking figure. I do have a few minor complaints about it, mostly with the eyes on the face sculpt, and then there's a few paint blemishes on the figure. But other than that, I think the figure is pretty good and looks true to what you see in the comic books for this New 52 version of Supergirl. She's got a lighter blue on the costume than you see with the New 52 version of Superman. Superman's blue on his costume is darker. I'm not entirely sure if that's 100% comic book accurate, but just wanted to point that out, that the blue on Supergirl's costume is a little bit lighter shade blue. She's got the kind of metallic paints for the Superman symbol on her chest, and then she's got the red down at the bottom of the costume with the little Superman medallion down there. And then she's got the red boots, which again is with a red metallic paint with some yellow mixed in. Her cape is that typical vinyl material that we see with all the DC collectible figures that have capes. And again, it's just red with yellow trim. Underneath the cape, again, same blue with the red metallic on her butt, and with some yellow trim. So, as I mentioned, my biggest complaint with this figure is the eyes. I like the head sculpt. I like the way the hair is sculpted on the figure. I like the shading on the hair, and I think that all looks really good. But for some reason, the eyes, she just really has these, like, kind of, the way they painted the eyes, these, like, really kind of bugged out looking eyes, like she hasn't had sleep in days, or she's about to go psychotic on somebody. And so I just think the eyes on this figure look really kind of off. And I looked at multiple figures at the comic book shop to see if like maybe it was just like the one figure, but they seem to be all that way. So it's just something a little bit off with the eyes. Otherwise, I think it's a really nice head sculpt, and looks really true to what we see in the comics. But those eyes are definitely a bit off. And then the one other place where a bit of a paint blemish is underneath her shoulder, where the cape has kind of been attached to the figure. You can see that the red has kind of, from the cape, has kind of gotten on the blue portion of her costume. It's not terribly noticeable because it's covered by the cape, unless like you have her arm up in a flying position or something, and then you can tend to really see it. Okay, so scale on this figure stands at about 6.5 inches tall. She's basically the same height as the New 52 Power Girl that recently came out. She's a bit shorter than the New 52 Superman, which is good. And then just for one more size comparison, here she is next to the New 52 Superboy figure that recently came out, and they are about the same height. So for the most part, scale on this figure seems to be pretty accurate to me. Okay, so articulation on this figure is pretty standard with what we've been seeing with most of the female DC collectible figures being released recently. It's okay articulation, it's not great, but we'll go over it real quick. The head can look left and right, and she does have a little bit of up and down movement, which is nice. It would have been nice if she maybe could look up a little bit more for flight poses, but with the way the hair is sculpted and everything, that's about as much as she can look up, and it's not bad. She's got the standard ball hinge joints, got pretty good rotation. You know, the cape kind of prohibits a little bit of the rotation on the arm at the shoulder there, but for the most part it's pretty good. She's got the bicep swivel, single hinged elbow, so she can bend her elbow about that much, and then she has swivels at the wrist. Now, initially looking at the figure, I thought that they had given this figure a midsection joint. It definitely looks like there was going to be one. In fact, you know, the figure actually looks like is put together in two separate parts here. And they've kind of matched it up with the lining in her costume like you see in the comics, but it is actually not any kind of joint. It's just, I guess, where the lower part of the figure and the upper part of the figure attach, but there is no swivel and there's no up or down movement here, so this is not an actual joint of any kind. She's got the ball joints at the legs, so she can do the splits about that much, and she can kind of do her legs forward like that pretty good. And then back out and back a little bit. She does not have any kind of thigh swivel. She does have a swivel at the top of her boot, just above her knee. Then she has a single jointed knee, and she can bend her knee about that much. And then she has the hinge at the ankle, so she has up and down movement at the feet. And then she has one peg hole at the bottom of her foot. No swivels at the ankles, though, and no pivot. My review. Again, for the most part, I like the figure. The only thing I don't really like that I think is a little bit off is the eyes, the way the eyes are painted on this figure. But otherwise, I think it's a nice figure. Definitely should make a nice addition to your new 52 collection if you've been collecting the DC Collectible 7-inch scale figures. You know, unfortunately, these are a little bit too tall to fit in with the 6-inch figures that Mattel did for DC Universe Classic. But again, if you have been collecting the other DC Collectible New 52 figures, then I think this will make a nice addition to your collection. I think she looks true to the comic book, and again, other than the eyes, I think the sculpt looks pretty nice. This figure is hitting comic and specialty shops now, so if you want to add it to your collection, you can pick it up now. And that's my review. Leave a comment. Let us know what you think. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and like this video if you like it. And until next time, I'll check you later.